What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Drive for Show, DFS for Dough here on RotoGrinders. Coming off a wild major championship week last week with the PGA Championship. We've got another pretty good tournament with the Charles Schwab Challenge this week, so we will break it all down here for you on a Tuesday evening. For those of you that are catching us live, apologies for moving the time just a little bit here. We've got some nasty storms rolling in my neck of the woods here over the next hour or two. I wanted to make sure I was able to get the show in the event of electrical power interruption or something like that. So I moved it up just a bit here in an attempt to get through it before the weather rolls in. And I am, of course, Justin Van Zuiden, STL Cardinals 84. I've got Mr. Derek Farnsworth, a.k.a. Notorious, alongside. And Noto, how you doing?
Doing good. Year's second major behind us. Xander finally gets it done. I was hoping for Bryson to pull through there at the end, had outright on him. But, fun week. What did you think of the tournament?
Yeah, it was a fun week. I mean, there was a lot of people complain. I don't love the course. I mean, it's fine, but I don't know. It doesn't grab me. And not necessarily just because there were more birdies, than everyone expected. Look, these guys are just really good these days, and it wasn't much, in terms of threat from weather, and the course, just played pretty easy. I believe, they had some rain and maybe played a little easier than they would have hoped for too, but it is what it is. That we still had a thrilling finish, whether it's 6 under or 9 under or 20 under. It was still pretty fun drama there coming down to the end on Sunday. You kind of were just waiting for Xander to have the big mistake, and he didn't. Lipped around the putting in to win his first major. And of course, the 1 week that I basically had no interest in him, we talked about him not being able to close the door on some wins, is the week that he goes and wins it. So I would have been happier with Bryson as well from a personal money making standpoint, but hard to root against Xander getting that, off his back and finally winning a major. So happy for him. Of course, all the headlines with Scheffler, and it was just it was a pretty wild week there.
Yeah, the Scheffler stuff was something else. I think I spent maybe 3 hours just going through all the memes on Twitter. It's crazy that app is still free. So many good ones on there. But yeah, I mean, it's just so awesome watching Bryson. He's kind of done a full, 180 with his image. It seemed like the crowds were pro Bryson. He was out there signing autographs. He congratulated Xander. I saw one. He threw a ball to a little kid, and some old guy stole it, and he made him give it back. So it's kind of cool how he's kind of like the one live guy that everyone seems to like these days. But yeah, Xander deserves all the credit. I mean, he bogeyed the 10th hole, par 5, bounced back with 2 birdies, and then just hit that incredible shot on 18 where he was standing in the bunker, ball above his feet. Just such a hard shot to hit under pressure. And he did it. So, congrats to him. We've been backing him a bunch over the years. Happy to see him get it done. Wish it was a different week. But, yeah, that was fun. And then, Rory just always has one bad round, almost backdoored another top 10 at a major. Seems like that happens 4 times a year now at the majors. And Scheffler, he's going to be a talking point again this week. So any other takeaways?
Did you see the Golf Channel clip of Johnson Wagner trying to recreate the shot from Xander? That's pretty good content. I like when they did that with they've done that with a few kind of big shots over the last couple of years.
I didn't think you could top him throwing balls into the bank when Rory
that was the first one
incident. But I think he did. He chunked 2 chips, then he scolded one over the green. That was pretty awesome to watch. And, everyone was complaining about, the course not having, a lot of strategy to it. You just kind of, pipe it down there, chunk it out from the rough if you have to. But, Toasty drove the green on Sunday. Did you see that?
Incredible. I did. He was basically at the bottom from the guys that made the cut. But, it takes a perfect shot to get that to work out. But it was a pretty good shot. It was interesting to see, after that, because I think he was in the first group on Sunday. Right. It was Saturday. It was Saturday. They used split tees to kind of make up for the time because the cut. Sunday, they used the normal, everybody starting off the first. and he was like one of the first guys off the tee. And so it was interesting to see, like, okay, if he's going to do that, how many of these other guys towards the top, might try to do it. So it was the one hole where they put a little risk reward in there on Sunday.
Yeah, they showed the little scatter plot of all the different drives from the day, and he was the only one that went for it, and he made eagle. So I thought that was pretty cool.
All right. Well, that takes us through another major. Again, kudos to Xander Schauffele for getting the win, and we'll see if Valhalla gets the ability to host a major again down the line. I think they got to try to figure out their traffic flow if they want to do that, and might be a little bit too late after what happened with Scheffler. We'll keep the legal discourse for the lawyers to figure out, but sounds like there might be more to come down the line on that. And Scheffler's teeing it up again this week. It was kind of surprised me, after all that drama last week, new baby, all that stuff. He's still coming back to tee it up here at the Charles Schwab Challenge. We've got 132 golfers in the field this week at Colonial, which is a course that, this is one of the longest running, if not the longest running course that's been used every year on the PGA Tour. But they completely renovated it, resodded the whole course after last year's edition, but wanted to make sure it got done in time for this year's tournament so that they didn't have to skip a year. Managed to get that done. I'm not sure in terms of, the course playing a whole lot different. It seems like a lot of the changes were subtle. They moved some bunkers around to try to, accommodate the longer hitters today. They lengthened the course by like 90 yards, 10 yards here, 20 yards here. Nothing massive in terms of renovations. It's not going to play like a completely different course, but curious as to your thoughts on the course we'll see this week here after some changes.
Yeah, I think it'll play pretty similar to what we've seen in the past. It's always been, a lesson driver course. There's a lot of dog legs, a lot of forced layups. And, the average driving distance here last year was only 283 yards, which is one of the lowest on tour. So a lot of the shorter hitters are going to be in play this week. And then you mentioned some of the bunker changes. They also changed some of the greenside bunkers to grass bunkers, which is going to be more difficult for the pros. And easier for amateurs. But I think the course will play pretty similar. You got a pretty even distribution in terms of your approach shots. 13% from 100 to 125, 21 from 125 to 150. 23% from 150 to 175. So you're getting a lot of, some wedges, some mid irons, some long irons. The course is usually very difficult. It's been in the top 13th in difficulty for the last 5 years that it's been played here. I think the renovations are just going to make it just that much tougher. So I do expect, tough scoring. I think it's more of a second shot and in course. So I'm looking at approach, scrambling. We've seen George Speed, Kevin Na, Kevin Kisner, those types play really well here over the years. Anything to add?
Yeah, my local municipal course has plenty of grass bunkers as well that are just regular bunkers that haven't been taken care of over the years. So now they're overgrown with some weeds. All kidding aside, it'll be interesting to see how those changes play. It's Texas, so a lot of times you will see the wind pick up. As of right now, it looks like we might see some windier times Thursday afternoon and Friday morning. So could potentially be an edge to the Thursday morning / Friday afternoon golfers. Again, very early to tell. We're still about a day and a half out from tee times, but keep an eye out maybe for Kevin Ross' forecast on Wednesday to see if that ends up materializing, because we do sometimes see that in Texas. So course should play as a challenging one. Even with the renovation, it's not suddenly going to play as a birdie fest. I believe they said there's 2 trees that got damaged in the renovation, and so those were removed. But other than that, it's not like they've opened it all up and stuff like that. So new grass, few new routings on some of the holes, and of course the bunker changes and a little bit of extra length. The major changes on the course. Otherwise, should be the same venue that we've come accustomed to seeing over the years. So let's dig into it here. We've got 4 golfers above 10K on DraftKings this week. Scheffler with the hurricane pricing up to 13.3, Morikawa at 11K, Spieth at 10.6, and Homa at 10.4. It is worth noting that it's another week where like half of the field is priced under 6,500. but it's a little uglier down there than what we've seen in previous weeks. So 4 golfers at 10K and up. What are you doing kind of as a beginning plan with that group this week?
Yeah, it doesn't feel great, but I think we're on the same page with this one. I think I'm going to be underweight on Scotty Scheffler. It's just, man, he's got so much going on. Like the last month of his life, he won the Masters, won the RBC, had his first kid, got arrested, was like the story of every sports outlet for, 3 days straight. So I don't know. I mean, it's hard to quantify the off-course stuff, but this is also a course where putting matters, more than most, just because driver's not all that important here. So you're going to have to scramble a lot. And so I don't know if there's a reason to fade him. I think it's better this week than it has been, the last few months. And he's expensive, and he's 36% owned on DraftKings, 60% owned on FanDuel. So I'm going to be underweight. Doesn't feel great, but that's my plan. What are you doing?
Yeah, same here. And I feel at least a little more comfortable with the approach this week than I have a lot of the other times. Like he's 13-3. That's very expensive. Right now we've got him at 36% projected ownership. My hunch is that might come down slightly, but he'll still be the most popular guy. And you throw in all the events of last week, which maybe he was still running on adrenaline at the time for a few days, but still didn't play his A game. I mean, with what we're used to seeing from him, it's, kind of nitpicky to say that with where he finished is not his A game, but it's not his A game based on his expectations and his salary of 13-3 on DraftKings. And now you take out that the adrenaline rush, if you want to call it that, is probably gone. Still dealing with new baby at home. At some point, you're human and you're going to have a letdown. I think it's this week. And, I'm not going to pay 13-3 at high ownership for him. I don't love a lot of the guys at the bottom. So give me everybody else's big savings. Like I've been on Morikawa for 3 months now. Wasn't really on him last week, but was super impressed with the way on a driver heavy course that he was able to hang in there. And he would have been in the mix if he would have gotten more putts to drop on the weekend. So I like Morikawa back on that bandwagon this week. I think Homa is okay. You can make a case for Spieth in Texas if you want, but I think I'm out on Scheffler here, or at least underweight, out on Spieth, indifferent on Homa, and I'm going to go back to the Morikawa well. So that's how I'm handling that top group.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. We talked about it, last week that Morikawa short game has just been awesome all year. It's kind of been saving him. He had lost on approach in 5 straight events heading into the PGA Championship, and finally had a good ball striking week. He gained 6.9 strokes ball striking. Also gained 6 around the green, which, you don't really want to rely on. But the fact that he has more confidence with his scrambling, with the putter, I think that's going to do him some favors. And this is definitely a course where the lack of distance isn't going to hurt him. So I do like Morikawa. He's probably my favorite above 10K. Spieth, I'll always play Spieth here. This is one of like the 3 events where I'm okay playing some Spieth, and it doesn't look like he's going to be that popular. I know the approach play has been pretty bad, and the injuries kind of led into that a little bit, but this is a happy place. So I'll play some Spieth, and probably going to be underweight on Homa too.
All right. Speaking of a good ball striking week, Tony Finau leads off the 9K range. He led the field in strokes gained approach last week. It was about 9.4 strokes, 9.3, 9.4 strokes for the week on approach for Tony Finau. And still relatively modest ownership there. He used to be a super popular play almost all the time, and it's kind of faded a bit over the last year. But with the way he struck the ball last week, I think Finau is a great option. He leads off the 9Ks. We've got Minwoo Lee, Siwoo Kim, and this is kind of where you maybe see a little bit of a dip in the field strength. Harmon up to 9,500 this week and is going to have some ownership, so that goes to speak to that dip a little bit. But Sung Jae, Tom Hoagie, Adam Scott, Harris English rounding out the 9K range. I like Finau a good bit. I probably need to be convinced on quite a few others in this range, but what do you got?
Yeah, don't mind Finau. One other point on him is that if you look at his splits, he's top 35 in this field and putting on bent grass, and he's like bottom 10 in every other surface. So he definitely prefers bent grass over the other grass types when it comes to the greens. And he's been good here. I mean, he's got 4 top 25s in the last 5 years. So I like the Finau call. Also like Brian Harman, finally back on him. It's been a while. We took a break. We mended our differences, and now hopefully we can come back together. He gained 4.7 strokes on approach last week. He tends to be pretty streaky with the irons. Pretty good course history here as well. And then Siwoo Kim, I feel like it's a great bounce back spot. It was a bomber's course last week. He's not the longest hitter off the tee. He's very accurate, and he was on fire before last week. He had 6 straight top 30 finishes. So I'll play some Harman. I'll play some Siwoo, play some Finau. Probably not going to be on anybody else in the 9Ks. I mean, Minwoo Lee, just on a shorter course, it's just hard for me to go there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind basically playing some Minwoo and GPPs if you're entering a bunch of lineups, simply because, around 10% ownership and the ceiling is there, but he does need a lot more to break his way in order to pay off that salary. So that would just be a GPP play, if anything. Harman is certainly the safe play. Siwoo, he's been a lot more consistent of late. I think those guys are fine, but I'd rather get up to Finau or Morikawa, and then we'll probably forego a good bit in this range. I mean, Sungjae just can't go back there. Too inconsistent lately. Couldn't parlay 1 or 2 weeks of success into anything last week. And just feels like the rest of this range is a little bit overpriced. So we'll pass on the rest of the 9Ks, kind of with you in that range being a little bit thin. We go into the 8K range. Again, so a lot of these prices are going to feel high based on where they were. Like a lot of these players were in a major last week, but given the relative strength of this field, everybody kind of slots in. Seabez, Denny McCarthy was a popular value last week that didn't work out. Keith Mitchell, Justin Rose. Let's see who else we've got. Chris Kirk, Sepp Straka, Tom Kim, Keegan in the 8K range. Do you have a couple of favorites in here? Looks like ownership is going to be pretty spread out in the 8K range here.
Yeah, I really like Denny McCarthy and Bazudenhout. They actually ranked 3rd and 4th in my model this week overall, which is kind of crazy. Denny's just one of those guys that, elite short game, accurate off the tee, approach has been just fine. He doesn't have the best history here, but, man, he's been so close to picking up that first win. He's lost in 2 playoffs now in the last 2 years. Also has a 6th place finish recently. So I like Denny quite a bit. And then Bazudenhout, I mean, if you look at his numbers, he's not great off the tee, but then he's, top 20 in this field everywhere else, around the green, putting, on approach. So I really like him. He's been playing well other than the miscut on the number last week. Those 2 are going to be my favorites. He's also finished top 25 each of the last 2 years here. Everyone else, a little bit more hit and miss. I mean, Rose with the good finish last week has good course history, but I can't trust him. He's been pretty bad other than that. Tom Kim's just always overowned because he's one of the more popular guys on tour. Keegan's been playing better. I do have some interest in Keegan. He's gained over 11 strokes on approach in his last 3 starts. So maybe that's where I'll go in the lower 8Ks. But anyone else on your radar?
Yeah, I think picking out an option in here could be interesting because there's not going to be a ton of ownership. I mean, I can't remember the last time I put Rose in my GPP article, but I did put him in there this week. Coming off a strong finish, T6 last week, and a lot of it was putting. I mean, he gained a good amount of those strokes over the field with the putter. But he did gain 3.5 from tee to green as well. And on a driver-heavy course, that was pretty impressive. So we're going back to, a venue that should be in his wheelhouse a little bit more. And he's finished top 20 3 of the last 4 years that he's teed it up at this event. So I don't mind Rose in tournaments at 8.5K. 8% ownership right now, I think is certainly manageable. And again, with this range being a little bit weaker, kind of agree with your thoughts on some of the others in here. I don't mind playing the ownership game, even if you want to go to a Kirk or somebody like that. But if you factor in ownership, I think Seabez and Rose, who are both in the single digits right now, probably make the most sense. Don't mind the Keegan call as well. Anything else in the 8Ks?
I think that's it for me. Straka's been really good with the irons. He's just always so hit or miss. So I'll probably include him in my MME pool. But did you mention Keith Mitchell?
I
don't know.
didn't. Yeah, that's a pass for me here.
His short game's so bad on a course with such small greens. It just
Yeah, and if
me.
he couldn't do anything last week. Yeah, I think I'm out.
We didn't talk about Adam Scott earlier. I mean, he was paired with Tiger last week. Can we just forgive him for that? I mean, he's won here before.
I don't know. I mean, just being paired with Tiger, does that mean anything anymore?
It's just like the extra hoopla. I don't know. We see a lot of guys just struggle a bit.
But there was, I mean, all the hoopla Friday was Scheffler.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think that's an excuse for him anymore.
I'm trying for Adam, but he let me down last week.
Maybe if he was 72 and not, or even 82,
Yeah,
probably not 92. All right, let's go ahead and move into the 7K range. This is where, I mean, I think if you're starting at the top, you can kind of live in this range, right? The 8Ks aren't fantastic. The 9Ks aren't fantastic. There's decent options in here that aren't a whole lot worse. I mean, if you scour through the odds, you can find some guys in the 7Ks that aren't too much longer odds than the mid to high 8Ks. It just goes to the the lack of depth, I guess, at the top this week. So, Taylor Moore, we've seen have some results. McNeely has had a few good weeks. I know Noto's been on Hubbard at various times throughout the year. I've always kind of been a fan of Davis Thompson. I mean, so these are guys that, they've got some upside compared to where they're priced and are significantly cheaper than a lot of the other guys we've already discussed. So who do you got as we start into the 7Ks?
Lucas Glover, my favorite point per dollar play of the week. One of the better ball strikers in the field, and he's gained around the green in 10 of his last 12. So a guy that typically struggles around the green, he's kind of turned that into a strength this year. Look at his course history: T40, T8, T23. The last 3 times he's teed it up here. Hard for me to not play him at that price point. Moving up, Aaron Rye in Texas always seems to play well. He likes the wind. I was looking at the forecast earlier today. Looks like we're going to have like 20-plus mile per hour gusts all 4 days. So you definitely want guys that can control their ball, flight it, and that kind of stuff. You mentioned Berger. I don't know what to do with Berger. I mean, T13 last time out at the Byron Nelson was really impressive. He won here the COVID year. So maybe get back on Berger. He's not going to project well because, he doesn't have very much data since coming back. But he's interesting. Taylor Moore just continues to crush. Still hasn't missed a cut. T12 here last year. And then JT Poston feels like the perfect Poston course.
Yeah.
But he's missed 4 of his last 5 cuts here. I don't know what to do with that info.
Yeah, hope that the course plays super differently with the redesign, I guess.
The one they cut was a T10 at least.
I don't mind him, especially since the course history people will kind of be off of him. I'm okay with Poston this week. I mean, his short game is definitely capable of carrying him. 4% projected ownership. Like I'm in on some Poston at that salary. And so again, I mean, that's already maybe 7 or 8 guys you can target between some of those guys that Noto just mentioned and some of the guys that I mentioned. If you start to go down a little bit lower, like Adam Schenk is always a low-owned option. I'm curious as to if our ownership ends up being accurate on Højgaard. The results haven't been fantastic, and I was kind of banking on getting him as a super low-owned guy, but our early numbers have him pretty high. And then as we go down the 7K range even further, Bobby Mack, Robert McIntyre was kind of a sneaky top 10 guy last week. Finally started. I've been a fan of McIntyre for a long time. Didn't really put it together on the PGA Tour for a while, and now he seems to finally be getting used to these courses here in the States. 7K on DraftKings. I mean, he's really cheap. So Højgaard, McIntyre, Poston, Eckroat, I think, is fine as well. Ben Griffin, I know Steve made him the cover guy on our show graphic this week, so good stuff has to be coming from Ben Griffin this week, but plenty of decent options down here as we get to the bottom of the 7Ks. Who else you got above 7,000?
Yeah, I'm going to play my favorites in Andrew Putnam and Brendan Todd. Just anytime you get on my short course, I think they stand out. Both of them have pretty good course history. Putnam 3 top 30s in his last 5 starts here. Todd a couple top 10s. I was looking through his game log this morning. Guess how many events he's lost off the tee in a row?
Ooh, Todd?
Brendan Todd, yeah.
Let's go 10.
23 straight events.
Oof. It's a
Like
lot.
you would think his accuracy would eventually gain him, a half a
Sometime.
stroke here and there.
1 week here or there, you're gonna get a good week.
So that's pretty bad, but he does like this place. 23 events. It might be like last year at this event where he
He's gonna break the streak.
But yeah, I like Putnam. Don't mind the Ben Griffin call. He's one of those guys that plays well on shorter courses. His game's been trending in the right direction. It's weird to see Højgaard at 21% ownership. You think that holds up?
I think that's too. I don't think he'll be that high.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Nobody else really for me. I mean, I want to believe in Eric Cole, but he's kind of been bad the last few months.
Yeah, he's been bad for sure. The last, I mean, some of the finishes have not even been close to the cut line. So, on a less than driver course where a short game is important, it makes me a little bit worried to play a chalkier Doug Gim. So probably out there as well this week, though I will never fight anyone that says they want to play him. All right, let's move down to the value range here. I think there's a pretty clear split once we get below 7K. Not a whole lot that I like. I know there's a lot of golfers down here, but I can't find somebody that is just a standout guy that I think I have to play. It looks like Svensson is getting some buzz in our projections. Bramlett as well, but again, on less than driver courses, maybe Andrew Novak would be the first guy that I would point out at 6,300. Goddard, won a few weeks back at 6,900 if you want to play that angle, but anything in the value range that's standing out to you?
Yeah, Novak's definitely the guy I have my eye on. If you look at his numbers, very good on approach. He's gained around the green in 9 of his last 10. He's typically seen these courses for the first time, but he played here last year, T40. So I do like Novak quite a bit. The model likes Victor Perez and Nate Lashley. If you want to look at those two, both of them like less than 5% ownership. Outside of that, it's kind of tough. I'm just seeing Harry Hall here. Did you see Harry Higgs chip in from?
I did.
That was pretty cool. He's one of the easy guys to root for, so that was kind of cool. And then he also did some Seinfeld thing. I don't know if you saw that. That was kind of funny.
I did not see. Harry Higgs did?
Yeah, he redid the scene from Seinfeld where George talks about pulling a golf ball out of the Wells blowhole or something.
Seems like it would be a jive and roll for him for sure.
So yeah, outside of that, I don't think I like anyone else in the sixes.
Yeah, I mean, if you are rostering a ton of Scheffler, you're probably gonna have to dig down here a little bit. I am not rostering a ton of Schefflers, so I am not digging down here a whole lot. Plenty of options that we talked about in the sevens. I just don't see anything here other than basically clicking buttons and hoping. Nothing really grabs me. Like you could maybe make a case for somebody like CT Pan, but I'm not going here a whole lot this week. All right. Again, wanted to get an earlier start this week, so if the weather hits here, that I would be able to get through the show. Seems like we're still okay, so I think we can still forge ahead with our usual snake draft here to end the show. For those of you who aren't sticking around, of course, thanks as always for checking us out. Do go to RotoGrinders.com and check out our premium subscription if you are interested in all the good stuff we have to offer. We cover all the major sports. Of course, MLB in full swing right now, in addition to golf. We got playoffs winding down for NHL and NBA. So always good stuff happening over at RotoGrinders. And of course, if you're watching us on YouTube, hit that like button. We appreciate that very much before you drop off. For those of you who are sticking around, you might know the drill by now. We always pick a snake draft at the end of the show. And let's see here. I've got to try to get to the golf tab and find myself a snake draft. If they have
I just joined the empty $5.
For whatever reason, I don't have them showing up on my screen. Let me refresh. There they are. All right, snake draft, $5 6-man. Looks like there's one that's 2 of 6, so I'll be 3 of 6. Should match the one that you're in. Does yours say 3 of 6 now?
Yep.
All right, hop in there. We need 3 of you. 4. Now we need 2 of you. We've got 4 in there, and we'll run this out and wrap up the show. I did not check last week's results.
Oh, guess who won?
Noto winning again.
Yeah.
Look at that. Domination.
It was
Only
the
one
all live team.
cut.
I tried to get the all live team.
Wow. First and second. No doubt about it. Dominant performance. All right. Somebody's got to dethrone Noto here before we get off the air. I know his dominance might be scaring some people away. But...
I've secretly been taking lessons from Dan Kramer.
Yeah, giving you all the scoops.
I just give him my login and he chooses for me on the show.
Oh, that might get you banned on the air. Too brave. One more brave soul. Thanks to the 5th person for joining there, and we'll get this done and out of here.
Is there anybody in the 5Ks that you liked?
No. I did notice that Joel Damon was down there.
The model likes Chez Reavie, but I mean, like best case scenario is like a top 30 maybe. I just don't.
If the putter goes okay.
Yeah.
Projections don't hate Ben Coles, but
is this his first start since falling apart at the Valero? Was it Valero? No, it was other Texas, Byron Nelson.
Let's see. Are we full? We're still not full. One of you still out there listening, get in the $5 6-man on snake draft on DraftKings. Hey, Coles played last week and finished T26.
Oh wow!
I'm gonna end up talking him into my player pool here. Well, there's my official answer. Ben Coles is 5.9K, I think. No, I lost him. $5.7K. So we started the show 15 minutes early. Our usual snake draft participants aren't hopping in. Did you throw that link somewhere?
Yeah, I put it in the chat and in the Discord, so hopefully somebody will join.
All right, we'll give it 2 minutes here. If it doesn't fill, I'll stick around and we can do it off the air, but don't want to make everybody sit around watching a stream that's stuck on 5 of 6 for a snake draft. So if you're watching, pop in there. What did you make of the Wolves coming back to beat the Nuggets there?
Man, that was crazy. It was like the largest second half comeback ever in Game 7 or something.
And you got a team that's been there, done that against a team that has been there and not done that quite a few times over the years. And as a neutral fan,
once Rudy hit that fadeaway, you just knew it was their night.
As a neutral fan, it's pretty easy to root for the Wolves. So, all right. I think our producer Steve is Sosa 10. He probably took the last spot saying, I want to get out of here.
He gets Scheffler too.
It's the rigged. I feel like I've picked like 5th every week for the last month. Hey, all right, I will share my screen now. We'll get this rolling here in about a minute. Gonna time it about right. Looks like we got about 25 minutes before the storms start rolling in here. So. Living in rural Illinois on a day with 35-mile-an-hour winds and heavy storms coming is a pretty good recipe for the power to get knocked out and the electric company to prioritize quite literally everybody else before getting out to your area outside of town to fix your power. D Rich and Tug Rules, a couple of our usual snake draft participants. Welcome as usual. And we'll get the show on the road here. Scheffler, the first pick. Big upset there for sure.
I was hoping Morikawa would be there.
Hope does not come to fruition for you.
Now you get Homa or Finau, so you're welcome.
Wow, you took Spieth. I'll gladly take Finau, number 5. Thank you. It's all going to come together. I'll like my team, and then it'll be the week where it doesn't do anything. All right, we're going to start with Finau and Siwoo. I'll take that. We'll quickly get into the range of nothingness here.
All right, let's go Seabez.
Goes Sung J.M. still off the board here in the second round. Producer Steve going with Min Woo. And he's going to be scared to take Adam Scott after I bemoaned him here on the show.
All right, I'll take him. Oh, I should have went Denny. What am I doing?
I'll take Denny. I'll take the team that Noto almost had. Horschel. Tug Rules, you can have Horschel. Horschel and Keegan.
Up and down. I think he gained like 7 strokes putting on Sunday.
This is my shocked face. We'll go Strachey here. We'll go for some upside. The bench spot.
Wow, Taylor Moore's 23 in the rankings.
I almost took him, but
which means he's probably too cheap in DFS.
Was he 76, 70 something?
Yeah. Well, did I read that right in the expert survey? Half the field is less than 6,500.
Yeah, it's like 60, 65 of the players or something like that. They're just not very good, most of them. They have one fatal flaw. Cruising right along here into round 5.
Cole Howard with the Jameis W pick. I like that.
I couldn't figure out what that was right away. I was going to zoom in on it, but I didn't want to freeze my screen. Tried that once. Hubbard's not a bad value in the 5th round for sure. I'll go Poston. I was talking him up. Just kind of hoping McNeely would still be there, but Tug Rules grabbed him. All right, I got to take Ben Griffin. Steve put him on the cover of the of the show. It's got to be Destiny.
All right, stay Putnam for me. I'll get Todd at the turn. That'd be great.
There you go. All the traditional Noto guys are following to you now. Hoygaard, not a bad team there from Steve. Doesn't hurt that you get to start with Scheffler. So he's got Scheffler, Minwoo, Kirk, Akshay, Dietrich, Hoygaard, and Hisetsun to round out his team. And we will roll through the final round now and call it a day. Grillo, defending champ. I'll go with my buddy Bobby Mack to close things out. All right, let's zip through that one. So Finau, Siwoo, McCarthy, Straka, Poston, Griffin, and Bobby Mack for me. Spieth, Seabass, Scott, Rye, Hubbard, Putnam, Brendan Todd for Noto. And that gets us through another week. So Noto, anything else before we call it a show?
No, that'll do it. Should be a fun week. And then what's coming up next couple weeks? Anything good?
RBC Canadian Open next week, and then the Memorial. So
I like the Memorial.
Yeah, I thought the Memorial was usually the Memorial Day week, but I stand corrected that it's not this year. So RBC Canadian Open, and then the Memorial the next couple weeks. And the Memorial is one of the bigger ones. I can't remember if that's one of the elevated ones or not. I'm pretty sure it is. But in any case, whether it is or it isn't, we'll have a pretty strong field assembled for that one. And then right after that already, it's time for U.S. Open. So pretty crazy golf calendar over the summer, and we'll have you covered here on RotoGrinders. So thanks to Steve for producing behind the scenes for us and moving up the start time here a little bit for me. Thanks to Noto for joining as well. And I am Justin, and we'll catch you next week, everybody. Take care. Good luck.